a worthwhile thing to consider. What are the things that influence the shape of your world? What is it that causes you to think certain things are important and to perhaps ignore other things, to pursue certain things but be disinterested in other things? We often think that's just our personal preference, and fair enough, it is. But what is it that shapes personal preference? Why do some people find certain things seemingly innately more interesting or attractive and other things repulsive or just boring, or they don't notice them? And I think if you want answers to those kinds of questions, and you may not, but if you do, I think it's the answers are to be found as we consider the influences that shape us and shape the way we view the world. So you have been brought up in a particular environment. There'll be certain cultural aspects to that have given shape to what is considered important in the world that you've moved in, and those things will have influenced you. And if you want to have a look at how you're likely to turn out as you get older, the best way to get a sense of that is quite literally to look at the things that have influenced you so far, because they're very telling. It's not uncommon for people, as they become parents, to kick themselves with regard to the way they treat their children, because they do it just like their parents treated them, and they didn't like that, and they kind of vowed and declared they wouldn't do it the same way. But somehow our parents are within us because they've been so influential in the way we view the world and the way we develop our sense of what's important. And it's just unavoidable, really. But there is something you can do about it. You can actually make decisions about the influences that you're going to be influenced by, where you spend your time, where your head's at, what you give yourself to, as it were. There's a funny little story that Jesus tells in John chapter 15, where he likens himself to the vine and his disciples as branches. And there's a lot in this metaphor, not least that it's about making wine, so that's always good. But more importantly than that is the fact that he's basically saying that if you abide in him, that is, if he becomes a primary influence for you, then your life will be fruitful. If you allow his way of doing things to shape your way of doing things, then you will bear fruit in keeping with the nature that he displays. And that is an interesting thing to consider. Now, of course, you may not be interested in bearing fruit in the way that Jesus and his approach to life did things, but I would still challenge you to think about who are the influences that shape the way you engage your world, and what is that going to tell you about the way you'll turn out to be and the kind of impact you're likely to have on the world. When it comes to choosing models of influence, you could do a lot worse than someone like Jesus Christ. As a model, he demonstrates what it means to actually give yourself to others and to cause that to, or allow that to bring life to other people. And there's not that many people we talk about 2,000 years after they lived and died, but he's one of them. So if you want to have a really good impact, I encourage you to think about what's shaping the way you engage your life. Okay, that's about it. Cheers.